Automotives, a podcast covering the most important issues for the automotive aftermarket industry in Europe and beyond. Brought to you by Fajifa.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new edition of Automotives, the podcast series by Fajifa, treating the most important issues for the European automotive aftermarket in general and the parts distribution in particular. As usually, I am your host, Alvaro de la Cruz, Head of Communications of Fajifa, and today we're dedicating our episode to a very important issue right now for all industries across the continent: sustainability. You might have heard about sustainability in all kinds of aspects of our daily basis, um, coming from transportation, manufacturing, even the behavior, the internal behavior of companies. And at Fijifa, we are dedicating a lot of energy to this issue as well. And last September, during the Automechanica meeting in Frankfurt, together with CLEPA, the European Association of Parts Manufacturers, we launched FAS, the Forum for Automotive Aftermarket Sustainability. And we're going to discuss this initiative in a few seconds, and then the coming meeting that the FAS group is going to have at the end of the month in Amsterdam. Today, to discuss this issue, we are very glad to have Louise Wohrne, who is the Sustainability Director at MECO. With a demonstrated history of working with these issues for over 10 or 11 years, correct me if I'm wrong, Louise, in the paper and forest products industry. Now she's dedicated to put her knowledge into service of the automotive aftermarket industry at MECO. And MECO is the leader actor for automotive spare parts chains in Northern Europe. Um, they have operations in around 600 stores and around 4,300 workshops under the group brands. So they're a big player in Northern Europe, which is a big part of the European aftermarket with over 35 million cars. So I think she's going to be a perfect guest to address this issue, and I am very happy to have her. Welcome, Louise.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So, Louise, June 29, the Forum of Automotive Aftermarket Sustainability will host its plenary meeting. And during this meeting, the participants will present the current status and progresses of the various working groups of FAS. Could you explain to our listeners very briefly what is the objective of the FAS and what is important to the aftermarket value chain to join the FAS initiative?
Yes. The objective with FAS is to work together to work towards a more sustainable automotive aftermarket so that we are able to change to face the challenges of tomorrow. And we do that by, for example, addressing different topics like reduction of CO2 emissions, packaging, remanufacturing, recycling, logistics, for example. So different topics. And I would say that it's important to join FAS because the big transition that society and therefore companies are going through needs collaboration between different parties and throughout the value chain. And FAS is a way for us to discuss with our peers and other parts of the supply chain the challenges that we face so that we find solutions together. And I think that we have a lot to learn from each other.
Definitely so. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. But let's go land this issue a little bit more. What would be the main actions that our industry can take and it is taking right now to tackle its CO2 footprint? Of course, particular examples from MECO are more than welcome.
Yeah, well, I think it's good that you mentioned climate because I think climate is one of the most critical topics that we are facing today. And I would say that there are a few obvious steps to take. So, for example, MECO, we have committed now to set science-based targets. And I know there are other on the of the suppliers, some of them have already set science-based targets, and I would love to see more companies committing to set science-based climate targets. I think that's sort of step one and a good way to show your ambition. And to make that happen, the first focus would be to reduce your scope 1 and 2 emissions, so the direct emissions that you have or emissions from energy. And in MECO's case, that is to shift our company vehicle fleet into more sustainable alternatives, such as electric vehicles or plug-in hybrids. And for a manufacturing company, it could be to phase out fossil fuels in production, for example, in favor for biofuels. And another thing is to shift into renewable electricity and heating of premises. That is something that we are looking into now or focusing on. And then we have the big challenge, which is scope 3, so the indirect emissions that companies have. And that's usually the biggest part of the 3 scopes as well. And the big challenge there is to get good data. And that is one such area where I think that we really need collaboration. And I'm happy that we have started that, also discussing in FAS and also MECO with our suppliers.
Understood. Well, there's a lot of things to tackle.
Yes.
Um, I am particularly interested to some of the concepts that we can see among the FAST objectives. Can you give a few examples or what can be done in issues such as the remanufacturing, reduction of packaging, or the optimization of the supply chain through digitalization and other technologies?
Yeah, so we have different working groups in the FAS that is focusing on different things. So in the working group 1, we're focusing on preparing a study to assess carbon footprint of the whole sector, or the aftermarket sector, and also what's the carbon impact of maintaining a vehicle on the road or with replacing it with a new vehicle. And then when it comes to remanufacturing, I mean, this is something that the industry is doing today, but we also believe that many products can be, more circular, or we can do more in that area. So there will be, I mean, collaboration is key when it comes to making that happen, because we need the across the value chain to collaborate with that. And also in the supply chain, there's lots to do. So we are focusing on optimizing supply chain logistics by see if there are different partnerships that could be developed between suppliers and wholesalers, and also like preparing recommendations for how you could reduce the environmental footprint of shipping, for example.
Okay, yeah, that sounds interesting. And would you have any data to share with us about the publication of this study?
No, it's too soon. We haven't started it yet, so there is a proposal in place.
Okay, fantastic, because I think that will be a very, very interesting product to share with our audience in the future.
Yes.
Okay, finally, how relevant do you think it is to train our professionals across the European aftermarket to achieve a more sustainable industry? And how can we ensure this training for them?
This is a very good question. I would say that it's crucial that we train professionals across the value chain or in the industry. There is, for example, the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, CSRD, that is coming now, and there are increasing demands from customers and investors and employees. So more focus needs to be put on sustainability. And in my opinion, the aftermarket is actually a bit behind compared to some other industries. So it's really relevant to train professionals when it comes to this. But when you do it, you need to make people understand why it's important and also what the benefits will be, so that it's not seen as a burden. And I also think that it's really important that there is someone really responsible for sustainability in bigger companies, and that person has the support from the management team. And I think when it comes to training, there will be a great need for internal communication and a setup or even improvement of processes, so that this is made in an efficient way. And when you train the organizations, I think it's one thing is to explain what is sustainability, because people define that differently. So it's really getting an understanding of how big that area is, but also to focus on certain areas that are relevant for the different companies, like circular economy or climate impact or human rights, for example, so that people don't also feel overwhelmed, because it's such a huge topic. So that could be the effect if you don't specify, I would say. But training will be key.
Well, listeners, you heard her. We are a little bit behind in our industry, and that's something that we don't like when we work in the automotive industry. We are supposed to be fast. So let's catch up with that. Uh, Thank you very much for your explanations and to bring your knowledge to our series, Louise. It's been a pleasure. I invite everyone to follow up the FAST initiative, and if I'm not mistaken, there's an open session in the morning next 29th of June in Rematec Amsterdam for everyone
Yes.
interested to join. I encourage everyone that is in Amsterdam that day to pass by and meet our fantastic experts. Thank you very much, Louise, for joining me today. Good luck for the meeting next week.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
And a big thank you for all of you for joining us one more time to this episode on automotives. Stay tuned. We will come back soon with another issue affecting our industry. Have a nice afternoon anywhere you are in Europe. Bye.
That was today's Automotives episode. Subscribe to our channels for more to come.